All right, Periscopers, we're about to go live in just about 4 or 5 minutes here. Real Talk Sports Show will be broadcast to you from Atlanta's Incredible Radio, right down in the heart of South Metro Atlanta, minutes away from everything. We're about to have a live show here. We'll flip it around just a few minutes. Brett Nets, what's going on? Nettles, I should say, what's cooking. We're going to talk a little NFL, of course. The Falcons red hot 5-0. We're going to talk a little bit about some stuff, great stuff going on in the community with the NFL alumni. My Mary Kay Starr, thanks for joining us. We're also going to let you guys get the live feed because we have some great guests. Andy, Trainer, thanks so much. Like I said, I'm going to put in the live feed from the radio station so you actually be able to hear the interviews. We got some great people here. We got Brian Jones. He is a featured, hey, hi, what's up? He is a featured writer. Trainer Greg, what's going on? Greg Trainer, I get it right. What's going on? I got the Brian Jones here from the Bleacher Report. He's going to talk to us about what's going on with the Falcons. Also, I got Jeanna from the Falcoholic. Romulo, thanks for joining us. She's going to be joining us as well by phone, and that's why I'm going to be hooking in just a moment the live feed from the radio station. You'll be able to hear some music and all that kind of good stuff as we give you that experience from periscoping, tag tribing, sports scoping, right here as we do a live broadcast. None of this kind of stuff where we're doing something where you're watching a computer, you're watching like a split screen on Skype. None of that. You're getting a live feed. You should see me and Brian. And like I said, again, the cool thing is you're going to get some of the music from the radio station. So get ready. We're going to plug it in just a second. And listen to the music and stay tuned for the Sports Show. Here we go. What's up, Steph, Andrew? It's Andres. Here's the music from WIGO. 1570 will be on in about 2 minutes.
Atlanta's Incredible Radio, WIGO AM 1570, Morrow, Atlanta.
You listen to the rest. Time to listen to the best. Real Talk Sports, where these pro sport analysts do more than get in front of the throws. They never miss a catch or a call. No matter the sport, they always have the right call. Not just entertaining, it's the true sports fans forecasting guide. Feel free when you cash in or let it ride. With Real Talk Sports by your side, that is. Just to keep the ball bouncing even more. It's two-way talk with live question and review. So be sure to listen in on the new WIGO.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister of Defense, Jonathan Simmons, as we are broadcasting to you here live from South Metro Atlanta, just minutes away from all the good stuff that's happening in the A. I also have in the booth with me here a young man that is climbing up the ladder of sports writing and prognostication. I call him the bad man, Mr. Brian Jones from the Bleacher Report and 24/7 Sports. Brian, now welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy being here.
Well, listen, some great stuff going on here. We're going to get to a lot of live interviews. We got some taped interviews. And, of course, the hottest thing in town is the Atlanta Falcons, and we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about them. We're also going to give some shout-outs there. You can check us out on Periscope. You can go to our Twitter page at TalkSportsATL, and you'll see the link. And we are actually doing the live video stream on Periscope right now as we're in the studios of WIGO 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio. And we noticed there that we got T. Lacey 82 telling us that he helps student athletes get scholarships. For any of those of you who want to contact me on Periscope, send me an email to jsimmons, that's JSIMMONS, at realtalksports.net. We'd love to partner with you. We normally have the young guns in here. I have a gentleman who's 16 years old from Mondays Mill High School. He's doing his homework, so he can't be with us. And his name is Mr. Reginald Brown. We also have 13-year-old Jovion Lawrence, and he does robotics. So Brian has been more than kind to come on in and help us give you some great sports talk. Well, the breaking news, Brian, we'll talk a little bit about more in our college football section. Nick Chubb out for the season. That's it. He is gone for the season, and hopefully he'll be able to get back and join us. Steve Sarkisian, we had him listed to talk about college football as being on the hot seat. The hot seat might have caught on fire, and we'll talk about that. And also, I tell you, I went to the NFL alumni. They have their big golf tournament.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, good stuff. Right up there, way up in what I call the weeds. I shouldn't call it that, but out in Cummings. For us, kind of a little bit of a drive.
It is
an hour away. But we went up there, and we're going to talk about that in the latter part of our program when we hit our community segment. Great stuff these guys are doing. I think a lot of people don't know. And speaking of community segment, in just a few minutes, we'll also be talking to a young lady, Ms. Gwen Mason, from the Stewart Foundation. So she will hopefully be bringing us some great things about what the Stewart Foundation is doing here in Atlanta. Of course, that is the foundation that was set up by the ladies like the man, Mr. Hank Stewart, the guy that does the great events each and every year here in Atlanta. The hot chocolate nights, the all-white linen affair. No, I know people listening and say, "Preacher, what you know about that?" But they are fundraisers and certainly great times for adults to come out and dress up and enjoy themselves for a cause. So we're going to be talking to her in just a few minutes when she calls in to give us an update about what's going on. And then, of course, like I said again, we'll be giving you some stuff from the NFL Foundation. Well, I'm going to check with my engineer and see if Ms. Mason has arrived on the line yet. Let's take a peek. She's not here yet, so we'll just hang tight and wait for her. Now, the other thing that's going on, baseball playoffs.
Yes.
Have you been watching a little bit of that and seeing what's going on?
I've been trying to keep up a little bit of it. I was driving down here, and I was able to listen to a little bit on the radio. And I know that the Royals actually won their game against the Astros. They came back to win. So that series is going to go into a fifth game, a deciding game, on Wednesday. They should be playing. And then the Blue Jays and Rangers are playing right now, and I think the Blue Jays are leading that game 7-1. So I've been paying a little bit of attention to it. I think all four series are going to come down to the wire because in the NL, both series are tied at 1-1, and I think those will go to 5 games too. So far, the baseball players are off to a good start, and it looks like it's going to be a really exciting finish.
No doubt. And usually, I tell you, the thing that shocked me was the Texas Rangers. I'm going to give a shout-out right here because she might be listening here. The lovely Miss Tisha DeShields. She is the mom of course, a lot of people know here in Atlanta, the former National High School Basketball Player of the Year, Diamond DeShields, but also her oldest son, Lionel DeShields Jr. His dad played here for the Braves. He is actually starting center fielder for the Texas Rangers. We're going to have her come back in and tell the tremendous story about how he recovered from a broken jaw to now being one of the leading hitters on that Texas Ranger team. So it was a shock to me that they won those 2 games on the road. But anyway, we got our caller here on the line. She's a young lady that is very active and involved here in our community. She is part of the Stewart Foundation. Ms. Gwen Mason, welcome to our show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me today, Jonathan.
Oh, sister, listen, it is fantastic. Now, we might have to have you back on. Brian, do you hear that voice? That's smooth.
It's very smooth, yeah.
Nice.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you.
Might get some of the listeners a little excited. That's
I hope so.
And listen to that laugh. That makes you want to come out and support what's going on.
Saturday.
We're going to listen. Tell us a little bit more about, first of all, the Stewart Foundation. So many things that your founder has done over the years. Just give people a little background about the man, and then, of course, the foundation and what they have going on in the upcoming days ahead.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, this is the Hank Stewart Foundation, and Hank and I are co-founders of the Stewart Foundation. And our thrust is to build extraordinary leaders in our community, because one day we were having a conversation about the lack of leaders, and some of our great leaders are starting to part ways, and we started thinking about who were our great leaders. So then we made a conscious decision. Let's not talk about it. Let's be about it. There's a lot of talk in our community, and no one, not the number of people we need taking action. So we all can make a difference. We all can do something. So hence, that started the actual foundation.
But I tell you, it's just good news to hear that because, I was telling Brian and some of our listeners that earlier today, and we're going to hear from them later in our broadcast when we do more of our community outreach segment, is that the NFL players, let me get this straight because there's 2 different organizations. The NFL Alumni Association, which is their 501c3 arm, they had a golf tournament. And like the Stewart Foundation, it seems like a lot of emphasis is being put on the children. Why is that important for the Stewart Foundation to really reach out to the youth?
Oh, my goodness, Brian. I'm glad you asked that question because our children, they're our future.
Is there a song behind that? I think there might be a song.
So we've got to begin preparing them right now if we want to have a prosperous future. We need to make a difference, and we need to plant seeds into them that will ultimately harvest, that we can reap from those harvests.
Well, I tell you, that's a very important thing, and that's certainly some of the things they touched down. You see, my mind's on the NFL. That's certainly one of the things that they touched on today when I was out there, is that they want to really put this stress on really helping the children. And now you guys are approaching this from a little different angle. I'm looking here, and it looks like the big event that's coming up really at the end of this week is called Games Down, Activities Up. Tell us how that kind of came about and what is that all about.
Sure. This quarter is our health and financial wellness quarter. And so we believe that in order for a leader to be great, there are certain aspects that we've got to concentrate on, and health is certainly one of them. So therefore, what we decided to do is handheld devices. Technology age that we're dwelling in today has made our children, and us too, extremely slothful and lazy, because all of our games are within our fingers. All the games that we want are on our handheld devices. So what we want to encourage our children to do is put down the handheld devices and let's up the activities. Let's have some exertion. Remember, guys, we used to do tag and red rover, and hide and seek and hopscotch and jump rope and red light, green light, yellow light, stop, and Simon Says, and the list goes on. You don't see children out playing the way that you used to outside. And there are a lot of different reasons why, but certainly our technology age is certainly a component to that. So we want to encourage them to put down the handheld devices, come out and play with us on Saturday, and we're going to teach you some of those games. And we've got some great leaders that are going to contribute their time. For instance, we're doing an obstacle course race with Stevie Baggs. Ladies, you would truly enjoy this. I promise you would enjoy it. So you must bring your children out for that. He's a former NFL and CFL player. He now has the Cedar Foundation Dream Cafe co-owner. A great guy. Thoroughly enjoy. And we even have Ed Hartwell. He's a former football linebacker. Used to play with the Raiders, the Bengals, the Falcons, right, Ravens. So he's going to be leading the dodgeball effort.
Now, see, here's the thing. First of all, I'm going to have to talk to Ed, because putting Ed Hartwell, a former linebacker, a guy that played with Ray Lewis, behind the dodgeball, we don't want that dodgeball movie where guys getting hit, knocking people out. So I'm going to have to kind of get with Ray and get with Ed and pull him aside and talk to him a little bit. But both those guys you mentioned are just great guys. I've certainly covered their individual organizations, especially Cedar Foundation. Stevie Baggs is a great young man. And, he is kind of this is a man crush thing. I'm okay. I like the women. But he is kind of, he got that.
He really does.
They call him Shakespeare. Very smooth brother, well-dressed. But what I've enjoyed is that what you said, he's always been on the vanguard of helping people in the community and doing great things. And certainly the Cedar Foundation, like Hank Stewart's foundation, really does a great thing in terms of trying to reach out and reach to the youth especially. Well, listen, now is this something where there is a fee involved, or is this free? Tell us a little bit about how people can get involved now.
Absolutely. This is free. Everything that we do for our community is free. We have never, ever charged a child for anything.
Wow.
That is the way that we operate, and we are going to continue to operate like that with great sponsors and the support of our fundraising efforts. So it's going to take place on this Saturday, October 17th, 2015. It starts precisely at 9 a.m., ends at 1 p.m., and we're doing it at Mary McLeod Bethune Middle School, where Mr. Myron Broom is the principal. So that's 5200 Covington Highway, Decatur, Georgia, 30035, and all can register at www.GDAU, which stands for Games Down, Activities Up 2015.eventbrite.com.
Well, I tell you, it is fantastic that you guys are doing these types of things, and that you would partner with a guy like Hank Stewart to really put this together. And I told people also previously that Hank does a couple of events for adults does a little chocolate thing going on. And
we do. We've got hot chocolate coming up.
Hot chocolate.
Stewart's annual hot chocolate
I knew it was a twist to that
which
name
is
somewhere.
the fundraiser for our foundation, guys. This is how we're able to do what we do, because this on November the 7th, Xerox presents hot chocolate, and it's going to be at the Porter Sanford Performing Arts Center in Decatur at 3181 Rainbow Drive. So that's going to be awesome, and let me tell you why it's going to be awesome. Because
I'm listening.
we have Grammy Award-winning jazz artist Norman Brown coming out.
Oh.
Get ready for it.
This is...
Get ready for it. It is going to be so hot. And then, of course, because it's hot chocolate, we've got Chef G. Garvin. And Chef is going to be doing what he does, and he's such a phenomenal man. And he often supports our efforts because he believes in our future, which are our youth as well.
Well, that sounds very exciting, and I know myself, when it gets cold, I am a fan of hot chocolate. So
and you're going to find all kinds of chocolate. We've got some of the best culinary artists that are going to really delight your taste buds on November the 7th. So we've got well over 20 artists that are going to come out, so you've got to come out and enjoy those festivities. And it's only $25 a ticket.
Brian,
so you can go to www.thestuartfoundation.com and purchase your tickets.
See, Brian got a little smile on his face there, so I think Brian might be looking to try a slide by as well. It sounds like a really, really nice event, and it's something where it allows, like you said, the Stewart Foundation to be able to give back, to be able to not charge the children. I think it's very important. You have a lot of single mothers. You have a lot of people who have gone through, quote-unquote, the economic tsunami. So the fact that you guys are doing that kind of outreach is just phenomenal. We appreciate all you're doing. Again, give us, one more time, the information on how they can sign up, and a website where people can maybe take a look, social media. People like to kind of look at pictures and follow you there as well.
Oh, absolutely. First, you can register to attend the Games Down Activities Up, Bring Your Children Out at www.gdau2015.eventbrite.com, or you can visit our website at www.thestuartfoundation.com. You can tweet us at TSFoundation2, or check us out on Facebook for the older crowd. I get it, youngster. You all don't do that anymore, but you can find us at the Hank Stewart Foundation for Facebook.
Well, listen, that's what I'm talking about. Miss Gwen Mason, the lady who sounds as smooth as Hank himself, representing the Stewart Foundation. Listen, we appreciate you for stopping by and joining us, and we look forward to coming down, doing some media coverage, and enjoying all the good stuff that you guys are doing with the Stewart Foundation.
My absolute pleasure. Brian, thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate that. And as always, Minister Jonathan, keep doing what you do.
Thank you so much, Gwen, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
God bless. Well, Brian, she sounded very smooth, didn't she?
She really did.
Yeah, it makes you kind of say, well, I need to go out just to kind of check out Miss Gwen.
Yeah.
Well, that was good stuff, man. Again, this is the kind of stuff we're going to try to bring you time and time again. And before we go to break, I'm going to try to cue up just a little bit of this interview that I had with the vice president of the NFL Foundation. Let's see if I can get a little snippet of that with him, and then we'll
NFL alumni Georgia chapter event. And this guy standing right next to me is going to introduce himself, because I believe he's one of the officers of this fine organization.
Yes, my name's Dan Benish, and I'm the vice president of the Alumni Association.
Well, man, listen, what is it that keeps you guys so engaged and really trying to give back to the community each and every year?
Well, it's a time and a place for all the retired players in the Atlanta area, which I think the Atlanta area has more retired NFL football players than any other area.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I mean, something about Atlanta, right?
Yeah, and so we want to get these guys together. It doesn't matter what team they played on. We're a group. We are ex-football players, ex-NFL football players. So let's get together. We still, when you leave the game, the biggest thing is you miss the camaraderie, playing with the players. Yeah, you miss the money, but the players is really where as you get older is what you really miss. So we're trying to create that coming back, and functions like this, and bring everybody together.
So a little competition every now and then between some of the players?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what keeps us going, is the competition.
Well, that was just a little bit of the interview that we had with Vice President of the NFL Alumni chapter here. Georgia, as you mentioned, the Georgia chapter is the largest in the I can speak English. He's the largest in the United States, and these guys are doing some great stuff. And you'll hear some more from their president and later on in our community broadcast. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk about what you've been waiting for, your Atlanta Falcons. I'm here with the man himself, Mr. Brian L. Jones from Bleacher Report and 24/7 Sports. Keep it locked right here, and we're on Periscope.
Attention promoters, event organizers, showcases, fashion shows, movie premieres, birthday celebrations, wedding receptions, banquets, pastors' anniversaries, special events, and more. At the C Room Multiplex, we also offer catering and decorating packages. For more information, call us 678-823-5124. That's 678-823-5124. Or visit us on the web at croomatlanta.com. That's c-roomatlanta.com. The C Room is Atlanta's premier Christian entertainment venue. The C Room, 4013A Jonesboro Road, Forest Park, Georgia. Mention this ad for special pricing.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break.
And we are back. That's a little Pharrell, Happy. And that describes the mood of everybody in the ATL as the Atlanta Falcons have jumped out to a 5-0 record. And I have, besides Brian Jones here from the Bleacher Report, he's the featured Atlanta writer for them. We also have on the line the lovely lady who you often just simply know as the lady of the Falcoholic, Miss Jeanna Thomas. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thanks for having me.
Because you are at the camp right now, waiting, preparing for Coach Dan Quinn's remarks about the game on Sunday and, of course, the preparation, quick turnaround for Thursday.
Yes, I absolutely am. He's going to address us here in about half an hour, and then we'll head into the locker room and get to talk to the guys as they've just started the process of preparing to face the Saints.
Well, Jeanna, now you've been covering the Falcons for a while. I'm going to ask you this question, also Brian as well. What does it mean here? Because now we're talking about doing a practice on Monday night, the quick turnaround. What do you see on the ground that creates some challenges, for a team as they get set to kind of flip it around with just really only 3 days to come into another game?
It's going to be really interesting because one of the things that Dan Quinn has emphasized since he came to Atlanta is their routine every week. I mean, he wants the team to be in the same routine every week, prepare the same way for every opponent. They're preparing every week like it's a championship game. And that's, of course, more of a challenge when you have a very quick turnaround. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that.
All right, Brian, how about you? Like I said, again, you've also been involved with that. What have you seen as far as in times past with this quick turnaround, especially now against a division opponent and a heated rival like the Saints?
When Mike Smith was there the last few years, he did a good job preparing the Falcons for a Thursday night game because, as you said, they practice tonight, they practice again tomorrow afternoon, then Wednesday is a travel day. So if anything, they can do a walkthrough, then they prepare for the Saints. The Saints are coming off a blowout loss to the Eagles, so you would think the Falcons would have an advantage. But at the same time, when the Falcons got off to that 8-0 start in 2012, the one loss that they had, the team that gave them the first loss, was oddly enough the Saints. And the Saints are a team that they struggle at home. They were able to beat the Cowboys for their first home win a few weeks ago. So they're a team that can absolutely come in and beat the Falcons, especially with the Falcons being a little bit beat up with Julio Jones, Mike Person, the center, leaving the game with an injury. So it's going to be a challenge for the Falcons on a Thursday night.
Jenna, now what did you see? The game, to me, especially in the first half, looked a little sloppy, and Matt Ryan, uncharacteristically, a little loose with the football.
Yeah, it was really very surprising. They did not play a good game yesterday. It was really impressive that they were able to pull off the win. Matt Ryan is somebody who is acutely aware of his mistakes and works very hard to correct them. So I do feel like he will, address the things that were wrong, address the things that led to those mistakes, and fix those going into Thursday.
Now, speaking of address some things, were you surprised on that last bootleg where Matt, instead of going for the slide, kind of took on the defensive back right at the end?
Yeah, I think everyone was a little surprised, including Roddy White, who went to Matt and said that was not a very good idea.
Well, it's funny because, we talk about, we've certainly on our show, and I'm sure you've done it as well, mentioned many, many times, the question keeps coming up, especially after Matt signed a contract. Is he an elite quarterback? Where is he ranked? But he does appear to be a guy that is sensitive to the different roles of leadership. And I think he was trying to send a message to the fellow players, to the opponents, and the fans that, hey, I'm from Philly, so don't count me out when I turn that corner.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely one element of it. And I think that the other thing is, and I think that this is kind of an underrated element of Matt Ryan as a quarterback, he's very competitive. And so I think that he wanted to set that example. He wanted to fight for as many yards as he could get. He wanted to set that example for his teammates.
Well, there's no question. Like I said, it was exciting to just see them be able to handle what they had going on there as far as a slow start, a lot of turnovers. The team just didn't seem to really kind of gel until the second half. But it once again, these guys setting records every week. 4 out of 5 wins come from behind. No team has done that to start a season in NFL history. So, I mean, for you being on the ground floor, especially being the lady Falcoholic, it must be extremely exciting for you.
It has been. It's been a lot of fun to cover this team this season. And last year was my first year with credentials, and, of course, that was a very rocky season. So this has been a much more enjoyable experience, being in the locker room after all those wins and seeing how much the guys are enjoying it.
And I got to admit, folks, when you see this lovely lady, she is just petite, small woman, a mom, but she is a diehard Falcon fan. Make no mistake about it.
That's very true.
Well, listen, Jeanna, now I know you guys with the Falcoholics. Don't you guys do some social events? Tell people a little bit about what they can do if they want to be a part of the Falcoholic experience on Sunday.
Yeah, we absolutely do, and I would love to have all of your listeners come out and join us. For every game, home and away, we are meeting up at Stars and Strikes in Sandy Springs. It's a great venue. There's, if you have kids, bring your kids. It's a great family experience. They have, bowling. They have a full arcade. They have laser tag. They're giving all of our readers 15% off of all food and non-alcoholic beverages on game days. And so come on out, watch the game with us. We have a great group of people who are going every week. It's getting a lot of momentum. More and more people are showing up, and it's been really fun this season.
Well, I tell you, it's been really fun having your acquaintance up there. Now, the other thing about Jeanna, she's a very fit lady, so she's been trying to teach old school, like, hey, listen, get out here, you got to do a little bit more running. She's been encouraging me to get out here and try to get in shape. So hopefully, who knows, by meeting Jeanna the Falcoholic, I'll be a little bit better off as we go down the road. Well, listen, how can people find out more about you, social media websites where they can, follow not only the Falcoholic, but, some of the great articles that you write?
Okay, great. My Twitter is Jeanna Thomas. It's Jeanna Thomas. And the website is thefalcoholic.com.
Well, there it is. Jeanna Thomas now has to go because the one thing about being at the camp, you never know. They might kind of push up that press conference time a little bit, so we'll let her go so she can get set. But, Jeanna, we thank you for taking time out from the Falcons camp, the Falcoholic herself, Ms. Jeanna Thomas, joining us. And we look forward to having you back on our show.
I look forward to that, too. Thank you so much.
All righty. God bless.
God bless you.
Well, that was good stuff, Brian. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, again, from being a guy who watches it on the ground floor and obviously being up in the booth, the one thing that I've wondered about is the use of Vic Beasley. I talked to Vic in an interview, and I asked him, hey, would you feel comfortable if the Falcons did what other teams do as edge rushers, move you around? Do you think that the Falcons, now that although they have this pressure, not getting any real sacks, that they might begin to get Beasley up and kind of move him around?
Yeah, I think the plan is to start off with is they want Vic Beasley to be like what Bruce Irvin was in Seattle, be that Leo guy where they can just line him up and be just that rush guy. And so far, he's off to a pretty solid start. He has 2 sacks through 5 games, and Pro Football Focus has rated him as one of the top 10 rookies in the league. So he's a guy that, and I mean, it's not been easy for him. He's had his bumps in the road. He's been facing pretty good offensive tackles along the way, but he's holding his own. So I think moving forward, he's going to be a guy that you really watch out for to be that pass rusher just because he's off to a solid start. If he keeps his body in shape and doesn't have that rookie wall that they say,
right,
he could have a pretty solid year.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. See, and the reason why I've been thinking about this, because one of the things that I'm sure you've seen, you mentioned about the bigger offensive tackles, to have a guy that really is technically undersized at less than 240, to me, to continue to ask a guy, and he's got some great spin moves and other things he does, but I think they could maybe utilize that first step if they did. And I don't want to compare him to Lawrence Taylor, but if you watch the clips of guys like Taylor, even what, I'm a Green Bay fan, even what they do with Matthews by moving him around so he can get that straight shot to utilize his speed, I think that the Falcons might be able to actually get some more sacks, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's not just him. It's Adrian Claiborne. It's Jonathan Babineau. All those guys, I think, are pretty influential when it comes to the pass rush. But I think Vic Beasley is the guy that they want to be that number one pass rusher. And he has good veteran leadership around him, and I think he's able to learn from them, continue to learn from them. He'll be a really solid player. But, again, as I said, he's off to a really good start, and he's one of the top 10 rookies in the league.
All right, the other thing I wanted to talk about quickly is a guy that we've actually not seen really yet. I was thinking with the injuries to Hester, and also now you have some of the other receivers like Hankerson banged up, and we can clearly see that Julio is a little hobbled. Justin Hardy, the rookie, do we expect to maybe see some more action out of him?
I was wondering that because it's not like he's injured. He's just been a healthy scratch from each game. They just haven't activated him all season long. I would think if the receivers continue to get injured, if Julio can't go, then I would think he would be activated very soon. I think he's a guy that has a lot of speed. His game is kind of like Leonard Hankerson. He can be that slot guy, and I think that was one of the stories I wrote back in the summer, that he could be a secret weapon for the Falcons.
Right.
But so I think there just hasn't been that much room for him because of Roddy White, Julio Jones, Nick Williams, an undrafted free agent. He's been able to step up.
What a surprise he's been, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. He's been a really nice surprise. So I think as the season goes on, if there are more injuries to the receiver position, Justin Hardy will get a shot.
Well, yeah, and I'm just thinking the other thing, too, is, one of the things that you don't get with Eric Weems as much as you did in his first tenure with the Falcons is that explosive, breakaway, big play on the special team. So I'm thinking with a guy like Hardy, he did show a little bit of that in the preseason, and also, again, like you mentioned, giving you an even speedier slot receiver. So hopefully, Coach Quinn, DQ, if you're listening, a little advice from Real Talk Sports, get young Mr. Hardy in there as well. And speaking of that, you listen to the Real Talk Sports Show as we broadcast to you right here on Atlanta's Incredible Radio, WIGO 1570 on the dial. You also can check us out online at WIGOAM.com. You also can go to my website, realtalksports.net. You can follow us on any social media, simply at TalkSportsATL. And if you're mobile on any iOS or Android-powered device, no problem. Put in the free TuneIn Radio application. Put in WIGO 1570, or better yet, put in Real Talk Sports, and voila. You'll find us broadcasting to you right here and right now. We thank all of those of you who have tuned in to watch us for a little bit on Periscope as well. And Brian, listen, are the Falcons for real? I mean, we're talking 5-0. They are the unofficial NFC East champions,
right?
After sweeping all of the 4 Eastern Division teams. But they have played teams like Dallas that came in banged up, injured. Are the Falcons for real? I mean, are they really now a legitimate playoff and really beyond that Super Bowl contender?
I don't know if they're a Super Bowl contender yet, but they are a for real team. They're as legit as you can get, because I think the game on Sunday was just as impressive as a win as the game against the Texans, because there are going to be games, and every team's going to have in the NFL, where you're going to have 3 turnovers, you're not going to play well offensively, things are just not going to go your way. Matt Bryant had 2 missed field goals, and that's something you don't see. That's something that hasn't happened to him in 3 years. But they were able to fight back and win because they never gave up, and that's what Dan Quinn has brought to this team. They've been able to come back in 4 games when they're trailing in the fourth quarter to win ball games. And I think one of the most important things about this Falcons team compared to teams in the past is that they have balance on offense.
Right.
Julio Jones has been a valuable asset to them, but I think the most valuable player has been Devontae Freeman, because what he's done in the first 3 starts, you haven't seen an NFL running back do in 10 years since LaDainian Tomlinson was in the league. So,
there's no question. This guy has been a touchdown machine. Who would have thought that this 5'8", 210-pound guy would be able to live up to what he said? He said in the preseason that he felt he was going to be the number 1 back for the Falcons, that he could get the job done. And with the increased touches, he has just been I even put it on Twitter. He's gone into a beast mode. He's just unbelievable.
Well, I think the problem was last year that he couldn't find any time to play. He was playing behind Steven Jackson and Jacquizz Rodgers. So the limited time he did see, specifically the London game, he was able to show glimpses of what he can do, and he was pretty solid for the limited time that he was in. Now that he's the number one back, he has more than enough time to show what he's done, and he's proven to be the best running back in the NFL right now. So,
there's no question. I mean, this guy he has been an absolute beast. Again, if we go over his stats from Sunday, 27 carries, 153 yards, another touchdown on the ground. And the other thing is that really people are not paying much attention to is the fact that he has also been a great threat on that circle route out of the backfield.
Oh, yeah. I remember that specifically in the Houston game where they ran that circle route and then went for close to 50 yards because it was just a wide open play. And, he's been a valuable asset in the run game, in the pass game, and that's why one of the reasons that the Falcons are undefeated, because when you have him along with Julio Jones and Matt Ryan playing consistent football, they're a very difficult team to stop on offense.
Hey, man, you hit it on the head. A lot of weapons, and I think that everybody, including Roddy himself, was pretty energized after Roddy, came through and made some huge clutch catches in the second half.
Yeah, and what's funny about that is when he made that fourth down catch after they called back that Freeman touchdown reception, it was a big ovation from the fans.
I heard that. Yep.
Because they knew that he was frustrated, and he wanted to get the ball more, and he came up. He only had 2 receptions, but one of those receptions saved the game. So, and he talked about it, like he was grateful for the fans. He's the longest tenured Falcon. He's been here since 2005. So, and he wants to remain a Falcon. So, it was really good to see Roddy Wright coming up with a big play.
No question about it. Well, listen, don't turn away, folks. We're going to take a quick little break. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show again as we broadcast to you right outside of Atlanta. The conundrum of great sports in the South. Keep it locked right here for more.